You can take the Mormon out of Mormonism, but can you take the Mormonism out of the Mormon? Hey, what's up guys? It's X Morgan with My Spiritual Life, and today we're talking about how to move on. So maybe you left the high demand religion you grew up in, but maybe the journey hasn't really ended. I know for me, having a faith crisis was one of the most difficult, depressing, sad, angry, confusing, upsetting, lonely times of my life. But even after I decided that my religion wasn't something that I wanted to be a part of anymore, the pain didn't stop there. Walking away from Mormonism, it didn't cleanse me of the years of guilt and shame and confusion. It just opened my eyes to it. I found it really difficult, to find myself totally free of Mormonism, but not feeling free at all. I wouldn't go to church anymore, but I was still Mormon in my mind. And I'm not trying to use that as a derogatory thing, but I wasn't actually living the life I wanted to be living because I was still trapped by the years of conditioning that taught me this is the kind of person you have to be in order to be a good person. I love expressing my feelings through metaphors, so here's one for you. I feel like Mormonism, looking back on it, it was this feeling of I was in this cage, right? I'm sitting crouched in this cage, this metal cage, and I'm boxed in, right? I'm boxed in. I can't get my hands or my body outside of this cage. I have to be this certain way for everyone, and I feel really condensed and cramped and uncomfortable. And I feel like leaving Mormonism, it was I all of a sudden realized oh my gosh, this cage isn't real. And I worked through rationalizing okay, this cage isn't real, so it can be gone, but I still have this terrible feeling of I can't, the cage is gone, but I can't stand up and I can't stretch my arm out. I can't really be who I want to be. I can't really do what I want to do because I'm still trapped. There's years, this prison has been built through years of manipulation, conditioning, and really getting me to believe that my worth is based on something that it's not. And it doesn't just go away when you walk away from that religion. And it can be really, really frustrating. In the last several years, I've learned what it really takes to heal from a faith crisis, to leave the religion, but to actually leave it emotionally and mentally. And it's hard. It really takes going within and learning so much about ourselves, really learning what our triggers are, why they're there, and how to change them, how to actively participate in changing that unhealthy conditioning. I feel lately I'm feeling so much more free and more confident, and I can really be myself. I can really put myself out there. I don't have to worry about what people are thinking of me. And that's the curse, right? That a high demand religion gave us, is that we are paralyzed when it comes to trying to prove ourselves to other people and trying to want everyone around us to think that we're so awesome and so great. I'm feeling so much more secure in my worthiness, and I really want to help teach you guys how to do that for yourselves. So this week, I'm actually teaching a class on Saturday, October 16th, a live class called 5 Essential Steps to Healing After a Faith Crisis. If you click the link below, you can register for that class. If you can't show up live, that's okay. I'll send out the recording. I'm super excited about it. Super excited to meet you guys there. And also at the end of the class, I'll be letting you know how you can get more support from me if that's something you're interested in. One of my tips from the class I'm teaching this weekend is, in order to really move on from your high demand religion that you left, you have to let go of what people think of you. It sounds pretty straightforward, right? You can't express yourself and really be yourself if you're constantly worried about what people think of you. But first, if you don't think this is a problem for you, let's explore that a little bit, right? Maybe I think I'm not really worried about what people think of me. And hopefully you're not, right? But maybe it's happening more than you realize. Now, to gauge this, I want you to just imagine with me for a second. Imagine with me that you were being totally yourself around other people, okay? Like, imagine you were saying what you really thought about, politics or about your beliefs. You're wearing what you really would like to wear. You're speaking the way you'd really like to speak. Like, maybe you're cussing. Maybe you're evil. And imagine being that way in front of maybe your Mormon family or your friends or whatever. And how does that make you feel? How does that really make you feel? Being totally yourself around these people, how does it make you feel? If it makes you feel like you want to run away and hide, or like you feel like you can't do that, then hopefully this video is really going to help you. Ultimately, acceptance is something we desperately, desperately all want, and especially when we're programmed to want it from everyone else. The problem is other people cannot give it to you. They cannot give you that feeling of being accepted. It has to come from within. And here's why. When our self-esteem is deeply, deeply wounded, we often want to put a Band-Aid on it by getting other people to like us, by getting other people to think we're awesome, or other people to love us or approve of us. But it doesn't fix that void inside of us that feels like we're not good enough, or people don't really like us, or whatever. It can't fix your self-esteem. It just distracts you from the wounding that you really have. And I know this because this is the journey I've been on for the last several years. And what I've learned is that as we learn to actually, from within, heal and accept ourselves, then we don't care what people think anymore. So maybe you're thinking, all right, I do have a problem. I do have a fear of what people think of me, but also I'm fine with that. I can live with it. What I would submit to you is absolutely, you can live with it. But then, are you really living? You left Mormonism, but maybe you didn't really. A couple years ago, I had a friend of mine pass away. She was only 22 at the time, and it was super sad. And she did have cystic fibrosis, so it was somewhat expected, but still just felt far too early. And the one thing that friend really taught me was that life is way too short to be anything other than you. She was very unapologetically her. And she had such limited time, she didn't have a choice. And it was heartbreaking that I had to learn that lesson in such an unfortunate circumstance. But what I learned in that moment with her and in her death was that we never really know how much time we have, but life is too short to be anything other than you. I've been out of Mormonism for 3 years now, and I'll tell you there's a very big difference between being out physically and actually being out mentally. I know we talk about being out mentally as like you don't believe in it, but there's a whole different mentally out that I'm talking about, and it's really letting go of what people think. Okay, so how do you let go of what people think of you, right? Because that's like so easy to understand for a lot of people why that's important, but so like, how do you do it? Like it sounds like, oh, just don't think about it, just don't care, but it's not that simple. It's compulsive. It's like trying to not kick when someone hits your knee reflex. Like you can't not kick, right? Like if someone's upset with you, you can't not feel bad or be upset or worry about what they think. So diving into deep of what's really happening here, when you get triggered by what someone thinks of you, what someone says of you, how they judge you, how they speak to you, when you get triggered by that, most of that trigger doesn't have to do with what they're saying, doing, thinking. Most of it has to do with your own insecurities. So for example, you have your sister Jensen, mother-in-law or whatever that's like giving you a hard time about leaving the church, right? And saying terrible things about you or just really snobby things about you. And it makes you feel what? Angry, annoyed, sad, judged. But truly, if you felt 100% confident in who you were, her saying that stuff wouldn't trigger those responses it would probably just make you laugh. You'd be like, oh gosh, she's so stupid. And maybe you'd get angry and say, hey, you can't talk to me this way. Like, you can leave, or I'll leave or whatever. But truly, if you felt 100% confident in who you were, this person would not be able to tear you down. We really begin to let go of what other people think of us when we actually feel confident and good within ourselves. But it's hard to get to that point because our high demand religions taught us you can't trust yourself, you can't feel good about yourself, you can't take care of yourself. And those are all the things that you need in order to have good self-esteem and self-confidence so that you can let go of what other people think. Okay, so dialing this all back, bringing this all together, in order to really move on from your religion, you need to let go of what other people think. In order to let go of what other people think of you, you need to improve your self-confidence and your self-esteem. How do you improve your self-confidence and self-esteem? Start treating yourself a lot differently. One simple tip to break this down and just like one easy thing you can do is start giving yourself some positive reinforcement. Many of us learned to control ourselves through negative reinforcement, meaning if I do something wrong, I punish myself mentally. You'll see it because you'll say things to yourself like, I'm so stupid for doing that. I'm so lazy for not doing the dishes. I'm so awful, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you what, that voice in your head you think is helping you in a weird way because you're like, oh, I'm motivating myself to do better by kicking the shit out of myself. But it doesn't actually work. It actually makes your self-esteem, your self-confidence worse because then you don't trust yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You don't, give yourself the positive reinforcement you really need in order to have better behavior. Jordan Peterson, a really popular psychologist, says you're a bad employee and a worse boss. And the reason why is because the boss in your head is the one that's telling you you're not good enough, you're not trying hard enough, you're not doing enough. And then the employee is like, well, F you, like, I'm not going to do this stuff then because like I work so hard and I get no praise. It's like you're having this fight with yourself in your head that you don't even know is going on. But when you treat yourself like crap, it's really hard to do those things you're supposed to do to be just like a happy, healthy adult person, human being. So give yourself a little bit of positive reinforcement. What could this look like? It could be, hey, me, if you do the dishes today, you can have a cookie afterward. Cookies are bad for you. You can have coffee. Or even just giving yourself a mental positive feedback. Like, hey, me, like, you did a really good job at that project at work today. Like that, and instead of focusing on all the negatives, try to focus on one positive aspect. Like, it's a hard ship to turn around because we are so inclined to negative reinforcement. It's insane. So try to start finding ways to give yourself positive reinforcement or give yourself rewards for doing things instead of punishment. This will help start to turn around your self-trust and your self-worth in big ways. Ultimately, you need to feel good about yourself if you want to enjoy life. If you really want to be free of the high-demand religion you grew up in, you need to feel good about yourself regardless of what other people think. Most of us have already learned that in a big way, and now it's time to learn it even more. So you left your religion. Now it's time to be free of it. Take responsibility to repair your own damaged self-worth and self-confidence, and you will start to not give a shit what people think of you and realize that it's okay to just be you and that it was okay all along. Okay, if you want more tips on how to actually be free of your religion, click the link below to join my free class. It's October 16th at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you can't join live, I'll send the recording. The class is 5 essential steps to heal after a faith crisis. I'm so excited to meet you guys there. If you're watching this in the future and it's already over, I think I might at some point get a recorded version of it that I can share. So just check the links below and see what we got going on. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really want the mission of this channel to be not like trying to convince people to leave their religion, but Okay, you decided to leave it, now let's deal with the emotional impact, because it's hard. It's hard to leave a high demand religion, and especially when we're so accustomed to not having good, healthy coping techniques and not really knowing what's going on deep within our subconscious mind. Anyway, I'll hopefully see you guys in my class. Peace out. See you in the next video. Bye, bye, bye.